Bitcoin is right now being supported by this crucial resistance line here, going of course to the upside. We're gonna discuss this, discuss the liquidation heat map, discuss this rising wedge which is right now forming on Bitcoin, and much more. Let's get further started without further ado, of course. So Bitcoin right here being supported by this major line of resistance, which has previously of course acted as resistance 2 times and now being acting as support, and looks like we are going up. If we want to break down, we have to first get through this line and then go further down. Now if we look at Bitcoin also here on the liquidation heat map, we can see that we have grabbed most of the liquidity on the top side. We have of course a bit left all the way up to like $84,000, but we can see, and every day I'm making the videos, I can see more and more liquidity here on the bottom side building up. And of course these are people who are longing the market right now, and we know that this liquidity acts as a magnet and Bitcoin usually hits that liquidity. Same thing happened right here when we had this liquidity all the way here up to 82,000, between $80,000 and $82,000, and Bitcoin was at these low levels. Bitcoin went to this level because it acted as a magnet, and Bitcoin usually grabs the liquidity. Also looking here at the liquidation map, we can see that we have a lot more cumulative long liquidation than short liquidations. We have over $6.19 billion of long liquidations compared to only $1.77 billion of short liquidations. So there's a lot more people long right now, and this is mostly retail. I'm gonna also discuss why. And actually, let me discuss this right now, because you can see here on this chart, this is very interesting. This is telling us basically, this is telling us the spot average order size. So it's telling us at what price, who is the biggest buyer, okay? So the green is the big whales. If there's a big whale buying, they have a large order. Here the yellow, the orange is of course smaller whales. Then we have the red, which is retail, and the gray, which is normal purchase buyers, right? So it's retail and basically normies buying, your everyday people buying. And what can we see? Well, we can see that your everyday investor who does not really study Bitcoin, doesn't follow the channel, of course, buys at the top. You can see they're buying at the tops every single time. They're buying at the wrong time. So you want to be really buying at these levels where the whales are accumulating usually, or where retail is buying. Retail is also buying fairly decently at the bottoms, but you can see that usually the normies are buying at the top, and we can right now see that normies started buying again. And this is also a top signal, because usually when we're at the top and then everyone is euphoric, that's when your grandma tells you, yo, did you hear about Bitcoin? And that's when of course your everyday investor invests money in Bitcoin and loses money this way, and then tells you that Bitcoin is a scam. Okay, what can we see on Bitcoin right now? We can see a rising wedge. Bitcoin has a rising wedge, and usually these break to the downside. Don't take my word, let's look it up ourselves. Rising wedges, we can see, are a bearish pattern, and they usually break down. So Bitcoin trades up in a rising wedge and then continues the trend to the downside. We are of course in a bear market right now, so most likely here the play is that we will converge somewhere to the top, probably towards the end, which is around $84,000, and then break towards the downside, right? And of course, like I always mention, why $84,000? Because we have the CME gap at $84,000. So I would not be surprised if we still go there, and I expect us to actually go to that level. Speaking of the CME gap, it's very important now to look at this, because we are at the weekend and this chart is not moving. So whatever the price is tomorrow on Monday, that price will create a gap. So on Friday, Bitcoin closed, you can see it here, $80,385. Now, what is Bitcoin right now? Bitcoin is right now at almost $81,000. So let me hypothetically say we close at let's say we close at $81,000. We can zoom in a bit here, and let's just say we close here at like $81.5 thousand. You see this gap here? This is the gap that is formed over the weekend. Bitcoin of course closed here, and this gap, if Bitcoin closes here, acts as a magnet for us to eventually go back down and fill the gap. And now we have filled the gap. So therefore, it is not necessarily a bad thing. I still think we can fill the gap here at 84, and then eventually if we create another gap this weekend, fill it then in the coming days after that, on the way down of course. And the next thing to talk about here on Bitcoin, if we zoom out a bit onto the weekly chart, we can also see that we have a crucial level of support and resistance here. Let me reset the chart, we can see this level where we are right now has basically acted as previous support, it has acted as support, and now looks like it's acting as resistance. Of course, these are just some lines that I drew, it's not super accurate, and we will probably go a bit higher. So what I like to look at more is the CME gap, but the lines are just there as a guideline, okay? Now, if we look at this is my short position that I basically opened, and right now again losing some profits because we are going up and I'm shorting, but basically my position has entered at $81,000. Then I have another one that I entered already at $82,000. If now over the coming week we go up here towards $83,000, $84,000, my third entry will be entered, and also my fourth position will be entered, and then hopefully we go down from there, making some good profits. Generally, I don't like trading, but in this scenario, the setup is good. We are at crucial resistance, like I already mentioned, and it makes sense. Otherwise, just wait until about September to buy Bitcoin. Look at this, Bitcoin usually takes 12 months from the top to the bottom of the market. So this is every market. We can see here it's separated by the halving events, and this is one bull market, this is another bull market, this is another one, and of course the current cycle that we're in. And from the top always to the bottom, it's pretty much 365 days. Yes, the first time it was a bit longer, but 365 days. If it's again the same thing plays out, we will be in October of 2026. So you can see here at the bottom of the chart, it will be in October of 2026. So in my opinion, just wait a bit. If you want to buy Bitcoin, wait until potentially September and October around these levels, and then accumulate more heavily into Bitcoin. Of course, I've mentioned that now normies are buying, and this is usually a top signal. And I want to also mention the S&P 500. So the blue line is the S&P 500, and of course we have Bitcoin here. And we can see that the S&P 500 is right now massively up compared to Bitcoin. So congrats if you have actually invested in the S&P 500, but I want you to be a bit careful here, because we are at these top levels, you know, whereby we usually see a correction. If we look here, let me show this to you guys. If I open the S&P 500 chart or itself here, and right now it's not loading, so let me go to the next one while it loads. The S&P 500, let me open it. You know what, it should load. 1 second, guys. So the S&P 500 right now is of course at top side levels resistance. Going on the weekly chart, we can see this here, and usually eventually it breaks down. If we overlay the RSI also, we should be able to see that we have a bearish divergence, which we can see right here. The RSI is downward sloping, which eventually led to a correction. Every time when it's downward sloping, it leads to a correction. Right now, let's see, we're not really downward sloping yet because we are here, and therefore I think we still have some room to go. Like, we can still go up a bit further, and eventually the RSI will probably be downward sloping, meaning we create a bearish divergence, and the SP will eventually have a larger correction. Why do I think this also? Because let's look at Warren Buffett. You know, Warren Buffett right now has $380 billion in cash sitting idle by choice. Well, why is that? Because he's ready to invest once the market's correct. His exact words at the May 2026 annual meeting for his company, Berkshire Hathaway, was that we've never had people in a more gambling mood than right now. And he has done a similar thing, of course, in the .com bubble. If we look here, let me show it to you like this. If we look here, we can see that in the .com bubble, Warren Buffett cashed out and was ready to deploy this capital. And right now also he cashed out $380 billion, ready to be deployed once the market's correct, of course. And we saw this right here. And that's really it for today's video. I want you guys to just stay calm, you know, follow the charts, follow the videos that I'm doing. Hopefully you guys enjoying it. I really enjoy doing these videos, helping you guys, helping me, and see you next time. Bye.